Hi, everybody. I'm Rogers Haley, the host of Rogers That, a podcast dedicated to selling without selling out. Today, we have a dear friend of mine, someone that played 10-year professional football. They dominated on the gridiron at TCU. They dominated in the classroom, dominating being a husband, going to dominate being a father, a family man. Everything this guy touches turns to gold, including his most recent endeavors in the world of private equity and venture capital. I've got my longtime friend, David Hawthorne. David, thanks for coming today.
Man, thanks for having me on, Raj.
You're welcome. You look like you just did a bunch of push-ups this morning. And
I haven't touched the weight room in forever, man. I'm maintenance only.
Really?
Oh, 1,000%.
Wow.
Yeah, man, just band therapy and rehab.
Wait, for real?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, well, yeah, people don't say that about me. This is like a medium shirt, and it still barely fits my chest. But you and I met a long time ago. You were playing for, I believe, the Seahawks, and got connected through just random happenstance. And next thing you know, we became friends, and I got to ride along the journey of your career and getting to become friends with your family. But get us to where we're at. Like, what was David like as a kid? Obviously, you know, a true Texan, and football was maybe what got you there. But give us a little bit of background.
Yeah, so I'm Texas to the Death Cakes, man. Collins Street Bakery.
And home of David Hawthorne.
And home of David Hawthorne.
But David's nickname was never the fruitcake.
Never the fruitcake, man. Always something associated with football. But yeah, I started playing football in Pee Wee, like a lot of kids do. Pee Wee football. I was a four sport athlete. Did everything I could, right? Basketball, track, baseball, football, and my height and my build kind of limited me as to how far I could go with that.
How tall are you?
6 foot even.
Okay.
Yeah, but it wasn't always that. And
okay.
So I had a slow growth spurt, you know. So I gravitated toward football. I'm from a family of football players. Dad played football, played linebacker. Cousins are NFL guys, and all of that. So I really took to football, using football more as a vehicle. You know, fortunate for me, you know, from a strong household. My family's big on education. You know, mom's nurses. My mom's a nurse, was a nurse. She ended up being the warden of a prison system.
Literally.
She was the first black female warden of
no
a prison
way.
system.
I think we just got our new guest.
Oh, exactly.
She literally, this is why you were a kid?
Yeah, while I was a kid. Yeah, she was head correction. She was head of correction, youth correction when I was a child.
No way.
We lived on campus. They built the state of Texas built our house right next to
in Corsicana?
Yeah.
Okay, I actually did not know this. Wow. So did you ever actually get to go visit while you were a kid?
We were there. We lived on campus.
Oh, you're not joking.
Yeah,
I thought you meant
house,
like you were just there all the time.
No, our house was on campus. The state of Texas built our house.
Oh my gosh.
Right on campus. So their swimming pool was our backyard swimming pool. Their basketball court was our basketball court.
Did you get to interact with the...
I did, because they were young. They were my age. You know, those kids seemed very normal to me. You know,
no
just
way.
Around playing and stuff like that. But obviously, all of them there for a reason. So
how old were these kids when you were there?
They range from 10 years old all the way up to 18 or 17 when they had to be tried as adults and stuff like that. So very disciplined household. Trust me. You know, I remember times, you know, trying to be a kid in high school or trying to be a kid and sneak out of the house, right?
Where are you going to sneak out to? The prison?
Everything's logged, right? So my mom would give me these trick questions like, well, what time did you come home last night? I'm like, 9 o'clock, you know, my typical curfew. And it'll be and she'll have a whole log already in front of her. And I'm like, Mom, why would you ask me the question?
Oh, my gosh.
You know, blue Honda pulls up, 952. He hops out, walks in the front door wearing blue jeans. I'm like, you got it on script, Mom. Don't make me lie.
So you probably were a different kind of excited for college.
Oh, absolutely, man. To get out of the house and get off of the monitors.
Yeah, and we painted the background purple for you.
Oh, man.
This morning.
Oh, really?
No, we didn't. No. So you were a star athlete. You have regiment literally drilled into your skull, where you don't have the luxury of being a kid, but you could not go and you did make the same mistakes some people have the luxury of making, simply because you literally weren't allowed to. But
yeah.
You learn about football, and then all of a sudden you learn you have a gift, and you used your height to your advantage because of the position that you ended up playing. But what was the evolution to kind of get there?
I think it was, the discipline factor. You know, Mom just being very militant in her discipline with us. made me a really disciplined player. And I always say this: I never was the biggest, fastest, strongest player on the field at any point of my career. I was almost the most reliable, right? So being the most reliable, I was an insurance blanket for the coaches, right? They're like, okay, that guy over there might make a really big splash play, but this guy right here is going to do it right 99% of the time. And so they always went with the consistency over the splash play. And I think that was my high school, that was my college, that was my NFL career, and why I was able to last so long in the NFL. Because you think about what the NFL is, it's a bunch of independent contractors, right? Everybody's job's on the line, week in and week out, right? So if you're a coach and you're an independent contractor just as well as the player, you're going to go with the guy that gives you the highest percentage, to be successful, the guy that for a fact has got your back and knows what to do every time. So
NFL is not guaranteed money, is it?
It is guaranteed up into it's guaranteed what you negotiate, right?
But like NBA and baseball, like if you sign a contract, you're getting paid.
Get it. Yeah, it's not like that.
NFL is about the signing bonus and the
Yeah. You usually get the first half of your contract guaranteed. But I mean, the times have changed. I mean, these guys nowadays are making money that we couldn't even imagine, making. I mean, these guys are getting $200 million fully guaranteed contracts, which would be unheard. Those were baseball numbers when I played. But yeah.
Okay, so to get back to the story, you learn you have the gift. You're Mr. Consistency. You show up, reliable. You're Rudy. You're Corsicana's fruitcake Rudy.
Absolutely.
And so the pursuit of where you were going to go to college, what was that like? I mean, were you a star football player freshman year of high school all the way, or did you have to kind of earn your keep along the way with that too?
I was freshman on varsity. Moved straight up to varsity. Did both varsity basketball, varsity football.
As a freshman?
As a freshman, yeah.
Did that get to your head?
Not really.
Yeah.
When you're in it, you're in it. You just don't know any better. When I was in 8th grade, I actually got pulled up to play in the 7-on-7 tournament for high school.
Oh.
So I was able to go out there with those guys. They were seniors. I was just a little dweeb, in the background, trying to get in where I fit in, humming until I knew the words a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that early exposure to all of that really made me a seasoned vet sooner than a lot of people get the opportunity to do. And same way with college. I started as a freshman all the way through.
Yeah, and something to sidestep too. We had lunch the other day, and you were telling me about how I'm a new father. He'll be a father here soon, and learning how to go and manage that while you also essentially helped raise a child when you were in high school.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, my niece.
Yeah, which again, just add that to the story as well. It just shows you that you're a responsibility guy, and you don't know what it's like to face adversity. And the theme of this podcast, it's people that I look up to, that I love, I admire, but you didn't have any quit in you. You didn't take no for an answer. And when you had something to face you, you just faced it head on like an adult does. But you became an adult at a little bit younger age than most of us.
Absolutely. I think that prepared me a lot for later. We don't cry about it. It's the problem's going to be there when the tears dry up, right? So you got to handle it. I think we've always had that kind of approach. And I think that kind of approach, that kind of drive has always, in a lot of ways, I think it hardens you, and it can make you a little bit insensitive to a lot of people's situations. And you have to kind of step back and realize that everybody doesn't think like you.
Yeah.
Everybody doesn't problem solve like you. Some people need a little bit more time to grasp things. But, my life from day one is just go get it, man. If you want something to change it,
You feel like you've struggled with empathy? I have.
Oh, 1,000%.
I'm a very efficient, I'm emotionally efficient, which somebody told me this a long time ago, trying to hurt my feelings. And I was like, yeah. I was like, I am, right? But it's hard. And I think that as a husband and as a family person, you have to, as you get older and as you get wiser, you have to focus on stuff that everyone doesn't see it the same way that you see it or I see it. But that's a whole new challenge that, I face every day, and I'm sure you're facing in some degrees.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, the biggest component of what kind of got me here is being able to compartmentalize and really
Not always a good thing. Yeah.
not always a good thing, but it works a lot when you went to college. Unfortunately, you picked the wrong one.
I couldn't get into TCU, so I went to TCU's nasty neighbor SMU.
No, but one thing I think that will help and helps a lot of young professionals or young aspiring professionals like myself is to be able to compartmentalize and know that across the street from football means just as much as football, right? Everybody just kind of gets to, I see these kids today, they get there and they have that mindset of like, I'm just doing this so I can play football. But they don't understand the percentages of what when you do the true numbers of what percent of guys actually go off to play professional football. You would go to school and you'd pay attention a little bit more if you put that out there.
Spoken from the guy that was on the good side of the statistics. What is the percentage, you think?
0.003.
Wait, literally?
Yeah.
Of someone who's going to play pro sports or just play
pro NFL? Yes, pro NFL. So there's 100. There's like when I was in school, there was like 120 Division I, some Division II, Division III, and all that stuff. And on those teams, there's 90 players per team. So now you got roughly 1,900, players. And there's only 7 rounds in the draft.
Wow.
And there's only a few available spots on each roster on a what is that, a 32 team NFL programs. Or
By the way,
whatever.
he's just spouting this stuff out. There's no notes here. So a 0.003% chance to make it to the NFL. Not playing 9 years in the NFL, just making it to the NFL.
Yeah.
So you defy the odds initially. You defy the odds your entire life, but you defy the odds. You're a standout at TCU. And did you have any inclination that you were going to go play professionally while you were an undergrad?
I mean, I was really good. I knew I was going to get a shot. I think my body of work, my leadership ability, my plays that I made on the field was going to give me a chance. Did I know I was going to make an impact? Did I know I was going to be an early starter and be a household name? Absolutely not. I was, toward the end of my career, I was really focusing on getting my degree. Because I felt like that was something I didn't want to leave on the table. And that was, Frank, be honest with you, that's something my mom wasn't going to let me.
Yeah, I got a feeling. Yeah, 9 o'clock. You got it 9:52 in your blue Acura. She's going to come back and get you.
Yeah, man. And I was just like, and so I was focused on that. I knew I was going to train. I was going to perform the way I was going to perform. Like I didn't put all my eggs in that basket, and I never have. So I think I took a different approach to the NFL. And to be honest with you, I think my approach that I took kind of helped me because I just did what I had to do. I just did what I needed to do. I didn't overthink it. It wasn't life or death for me. It wasn't a dream that I dream about. If I didn't make it, I didn't have anything to fall back on. It was just the next step in my football career, like from Pee Wee to 7th grade, like from 7th and 8th grade to high school to college, and now the NFL.
But you expected it, But I'm not in a bad way, but I'm saying like, all right, like I've done Pee Wee, I've done middle school, I've done high school, I've done college. Now it's time to play professional football.
Yeah. Put it out there, have no regrets, and if all the things that have got me to this point hold true, then they have no reason not to accept me into this league.
Were you drafted?
No, undrafted free agent.
Really?
Undrafted free agent.
So was draft day, was it humbling, or was it something to where you just kind of expected to go and be a free agent? What was the
injured.
headspace?
Yeah, so I was injured. So my talking to my agent and everything. Basically, he's like, "Look, man, you tore everything up in your knee, ACL, MCL, meniscus, the whole shebang. You've rehabbed it. You've come back, but they don't know." They don't know how you're going to respond. They don't know what you're going to look like in the future for their organization. So, expect late round. If no late round, then you're going to get a shot at a team. He was like, don't think about it as a negative. For me, he said, we'll get to pick the team we want. We'll get to pick the team that's the best fit for you. Which, and when you think about it, if you go in the 6th round or 7th round, you make just as much money as if you go free agent, right?
Yeah.
There's not a lot of money to be made there. I mean, I say not a lot.
No, I get it. Within reason. I got it.
There's money to be made, but that player is on that team regardless, right? You go undrafted free agent, you can look at everybody's roster, you can look at everybody's draft because it's already happened, and you can plug yourself into a program that fits you best.
Really? So you got to pick going to the Seahawks.
I picked going to the Seahawks.
That was your choice.
My choice, yeah.
Really? Because you looked at their roster and the coaching staff, the city,
Yep.
and you said that's where you can succeed.
Yep, and a coach from TCU went there as well, so I already have some familiarity there. I just made that decision. The scheme fit me well. Their size of linebackers was the same size as me, so I knew they would be accepting to
Was
me.
it Bobby Wagner back then?
No, it was Lofa Tutupu.
Oh,
back
yeah.
then. Yeah, my mentor.
Really?
Yeah.
So I'm pardon my ignorance, a fanboy me coming out. So I mean, do you pick up the phone and I mean, what's the process of getting an opportunity to essentially audition?
So you have you go through your agent. Your agent will get a million calls and be like, "We'll accept him." And so he'll come to you and say, "Hey, you got 16 teams. Let's take a night. Let's figure it all
That
out."
wanted you to go and
To
audition.
be on their team, yeah.
You had 16 different teams,
Yeah, probably 6. I mean, I probably had all the teams.
but that
Like-
didn't piss you off. Like, why didn't they draft you? It was just a different kind of strategy.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, you just don't understand the game back then. I know more now than I know back then. But yeah, you're like, hey man, if you wanted me that bad, why didn't you call my name on the TV?
So out of 32 cities, you chose Seattle.
Seattle.
And
Yep.
Seattle, what was the process like? You get there, obviously a boisterous and electric coach in Pete Carroll, who knew how to coach
He
college.
wasn't there yet.
Pete
It
Carroll
was,
wasn't the coach.
It was Coach Holmgren.
Mike Holmgren.
Mike Holmgren.
Who he's a player's coach, isn't he?
Yeah, old school.
He was Chiefs and Eagles.
Packers. Yeah.
Oh, he was Packers.
Packers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was that like? You get there and here you are starting over again, trying to figure it out. Was it
Trying to earn
overwhelming, or you just took the same mentality?
Man, I think what it is, what you realize that like you were great where you were, and now you're back to the ground level.
Yeah, but literally without any guarantee.
With no guarantee, man. You're a water boy. You get Gatorades for the veterans. You carry pads in. I don't care if you've been catered to like that for the last couple years of your college career. The rookies come in, they carry your pads, they bring you Gatorades. Now you're that guy all over again. So
Except you're getting paid.
Except you're getting paid for it. But I think the guys that are humble in that role, who can go back like I did, I took it upon myself to make sure I was the best teammate, right? I was like, I'm not going to be a starter this year. This guy is a 3-time Pro Bowler, all-pro, all-world guy, but the veterans like you make the team because it's a team sport. So the coaches want to know who's a team guy in the locker room, who's a guy we can count on, who's a guy that's really loved and will be loved with this organization. So what I would do is I would make sure I took orders. I'm like, hey man, you like red Gatorade at your locker when you're out of practice?
You being serious?
No, 1,000%. Yeah, this is absolute fact. So, and I'll tell you a little story about it. I know we're probably off topic. But,
No.
I'll tell you a little story about it. So, you come in as a rookie, right? There's probably about 15 or 16 of us, right, that kind of come in a class, right? Come in as a rookie, the veterans kind of grab you, right? They're like, oh, they're gonna, haze you a little bit. They're gonna kick you down a little bit. They're gonna laugh at you a little bit, right? Took it all, right? Then I would go and I would say, hey, man, I want to make your experience better, right? I want to bring you Gatorade. I'll carry your pads in. I don't care about any of that
This is
stuff.
why you were an active roster guy, or this is as a
I
rookie?
was a rookie, yeah, before trying to make the team.
So,
right?
which probably messed with them that you were going out of your way to serve them.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, because I know talking to some older guys, they're like, hey, man, there's a rookie dinner that comes. And if they don't like you, this rookie dinner could be upwards of $50,000. Right? But if they like you, why would they punish you on that rookie dinner that comes, right? And so I was very curious, and the guys loved me, right? They're like, man, Hawthorne, he's a bro. Like we appreciate everything he does. He's a bro, right? So then I get out there on the field, and once I'm on the field, I'm on the field. I'm the same guy. I'm the hard-hitting, making a name for myself. They called me the heater in the NFL. That was coined by my teammate Lofa in training camp when I was hitting my own players, right? Before we even got out there on the field. So they loved me. But then we get to that rookie dinner, And I'm like, all right, put it on me. Here goes, I make the team and all that stuff. We get to the rookie dinner. I'm like, put it on me, man. Here goes my credit card. You're going to have to call my bank if it's over a certain amount because they're going to think fraudulent activity immediately.
Just run out of there.
Like, this is very unusual activity for you, David. The bank will call me immediately. And Lofa just threw his credit card down on the table like, man, I got this, man.
No way.
1,000%.
No way.
And it just was because of all the little things that took no effort. Just go out of your way a little bit, walk a couple extra feet, give a guy a Gatorade, give him some sunflower seeds, and they covered my whole rookie bill.
But that's you in a nutshell, man. It's not necessarily, it's not literally doing that. It's just the fact that maybe you do have more empathy than anyone. Maybe you do have the ability to go and read people. Maybe you're not compartmalizing. You're putting other people first just because that's your heart.
That was all strategy.
But it's still who you are. It's like, he's like, I'm not really, give me the jersey back. So you play, how long were you in Seattle for?
So I was there for 4 years.
And was it just an incredible experience the whole time? Did you have setbacks? Did you have,
it was awesome, man. It was awesome, man. I, unfortunately, my mentor, Lofa, he went down. And fortunate for me from my career, unfortunate for him because he was a heck of a player and a true pro. So he goes down my second year, and I become a starter, full-time starter. I'd started a game or two the season before, but I wasn't a full-time starter. He goes down, I become a starter and have the biggest game of my career, my opening starting game. And from there, it was just, the sky was the limit.
Well, what was your big game? Tell us what.
Man, I had 16 tackles. I had a sack, an interception, and a tackle for loss on the goal line to win the game against Chicago.
Who'd y'all play? Oh, in Chicago?
In Seattle.
Oh, my God. Which is, I think, I've never been to Seattle, but that's supposed to be the most electric
loud.
Ever.
Yeah. And it was rocking, so it was rocking and I was causing it to rock. So it's kind of a, and they're like, man, who the heck is this guy? So I kind of got on notice at that point, and then I just stacked up game after game after game using that momentum. And then when Lofa came back, they're like, well, we can't take Hawthorne off the field. This guy, sports star of the year that year, had 100+ tackles and sacks, picks, and the whole thing. And then I came to Dallas the very next week, and we played Dallas. I had 12 tackles, 2 sacks on Romo. And I was like, to do it in my hometown is unreal.
You know who his roommate was at the time?
No.
It was me.
Oh.
Yeah. I remember that game. I maybe I intentionally blocked you out of it, but I have to. I'll never forget when I randomly went with them to his rookie dinner at Nick and Sam's, and I was the only. I remember that it was the most intimidating moment of my life at that point. And this is way off subject, but I feel called to tell you. I was sitting in between Leonard Davis and Dan Campbell. Yeah, Campbell to this day is the most intimidating human I've ever met. I'm not joking you. And Leonard Davis, if you remember him,
I remember Leonard
Davis. He's the
Davis.
size of this room.
Yeah.
And I just was sitting there. I remember the bill came and it was $33,000. I'll never forget it. And I saw this and I was like, I remember Tony paid for it with a debit card. And I was like, let me put it on my card so I can at least get the miles. Not that I would have been able to clear it. But yeah, I remember. Yeah. I actually do remember that game. It wasn't the playoffs, though, was it?
No, it was a regular season
because
game.
Then he fumbled the extra point attempt against Seattle. Was that your team?
No, I was there. That was the year before.
Okay, yeah. No, I remember that. So you come to Dallas. The heater does this thing again.
Yeah.
You got 2 more years left in Seattle. Then what happens?
And then I'm up for free agency. So I was one of the top free agents at my position. So I was on the open market, just shopping. Seeing
you once again have control of where you're going to go.
Can go anywhere I want to go, and so I shopped it out. Thinking about going back to Seattle if the money was right. Thinking about going to all these other places that really wanted me to go. Crazy enough, I go to so this is how free agency kind of works, right? Back in the day, so we'd call each other, right? We'd literally call each other. Like,
you and the coaches?
No, me and the players that are up for free agent. So there's 3 of us, 3 linebackers. It was me, Tulloch, and it was Curtis Lofton, right? So we want to get as much money as we possibly can. So we're telling each other, what we got on the line.
Are these guys that you knew before?
No, they connect us all through our agents and stuff like that. And so if you think about it, if you're a number one, if I'm the number 1 linebacker free agent, and you're the number 2 linebacker free agent, right? And we want to set the market. So if I'm the number 1 and I take $9 million, you're number 2. The most you can get is 8, right? But if your team tells you that Hawthorne or Cross is about to sign for 7, they might bribe you into taking a deal for 6, right? And so it's just a game, owners versus players, right?
It's like sleeping
So,
with the enemy. But
oh, yeah, but we're all trying to get money. We're
yeah,
independent contractors, right? So Tulloch played for Detroit. His team was Detroit, right? They threatened him by getting me to fly up to Detroit, to say Hawthorne was willing to take us. Tulloch was truly number one. So they said Hawthorne's flying up here, tomorrow. Scare him into taking a deal, that we didn't think he was going to take, right?
he took it.
Yeah, and so I'm after him, so I got to take a little bit less than the guy after me. So he set the market, so the trickle down effect. So when I land in Detroit, my agent called me. He's like, "Hey, Tulloch took the deal," and I'm happy. I'm like, "Heck yeah! Did he get 12 million? A year? Like, what did he get?" And he's like, "No." I'm like, "Oh." So I call him. I'm like, "What's up, man?" He's like, "No, they said you were coming down here to sign the contract," and I was like, "I just talked to you."
Oh,
And
God.
so that's just the way the game is. But all in all, I got everything I was owed out of the NFL and more.
Well, and I don't even know if we have an entry point with this, but you're also a serial entrepreneur, and you've done incredibly well with everything from the food space to the to restaurants, food, a little bit of everything. But at what point did that start? Because I met you. I remember actually where we were when we met, and it was kind of a cliche. Athletes meet opportunity. Most of these opportunities are the cliche, like just stuff that nobody actually does, and if they do it, it's a bust. But the stuff you've done have been literal grand slams, where the money that you made in the NFL will pale in comparison to David, the CEO. But
Yeah.
when did that start, and how did you all of a sudden have this business savvy, but more importantly, the discernment to weed through these things that were opportunity?
I think it's the life after football thoughts that I had, when my career was coming to an end.
Yeah.
I dibbed and dabbed and done a bunch of, little investments and stuff like that. I vented out some opportunities while I was playing. But it wasn't until I started really sitting down and thinking like, hey, what the heck am I going to do? You get out the NFL, you got your whole life in front of you. You guys retire at, if you're fortunate, 32 years old, 33 years old. Well, what the heck are you going to do for the next 60 years or however long you make it? And so around year 6, year 7, year 8, I really just started thinking like, man, what am I passionate about? I got money as a vehicle now. Obviously, I can step in any door I want, because of capital. But what is going to wake me up? What am I going to be able to continue to compete at? And I think that's what what a lot of guys struggle with, when they have that identity crisis because they don't know how to compete anymore. There's nothing to compete for or to compete with. And so I started thinking about that. I'm from a family of restaurant, right? Everybody's a cook, right? And so I'm like, man, I'm really passionate about food. I cook for my teammates. I host a lot. I, cook for my family. I'll do a random food crawl just because I want to try everything on the street when I go to a town, not just because I want to try the best restaurant that everybody told me. So some of my first ventures were all in food. The food trucks, the restaurants.
And you're also, you were kind of a food truck disruptor because this is before food trucks were a thing. And I'll never forget you calling me, and I was just like, "What? You have a food truck?" And I think you were still playing.
Yeah.
Was it barbecue?
Barbecue food truck, yeah.
Yeah, and so and you didn't just stop there though. So you did that. You learned how to win, and then you learned how to scale. But walk us through the other tentacles of the David Hawthorne, business.
Yeah. So I go to Portland, Oregon. That's where the food trucks come from. I went down a street and I'd never seen a food truck before when I was in Seattle. So our Nike store. So when you have a Nike contract, you can go to headquarters in Oregon, right? And so I went down there. I hung out for a day, used up all my Nike contract money and stuff, and I was like, "Hey, I want something to grub on." I go outside of the Nike headquarters and there's a strip. And I'm like, man, what are all these vendors? This looks like a late night after a bar. Just guys sitting out
With
on the
Euros
corner
in New York City. Yeah.
I've never seen this in broad daylight before, right? And so I tried out, and I'm like, man, y'all are able to produce that quality of food out of that truck? And they're like, yeah, this is the industry, right? So that's how I learned about the food truck thing. From Portland. Yeah, from Oregon. And then I came back and brought that idea. That taught me structure. I had never managed a person before, right? I never had an employee or anything like that. So you had to start somewhere. The funny thing about football and business, right, is that I use them as the same model, right? Like every business venture and everything I've structured in my life is a football model.
Okay, so you go to Portland, you experience the model, and then your alerts start going off that you want to be an entrepreneur. So what was the model that brought you to Dallas, and how you leveraged that into something way bigger?
I'll say this, like, my whole life is centered, and we talked about it a lot. My whole life was centered around football, right? So if there's one thing I know the most about, it's football, right? From organizations, from accountability, from team, from all that, right? And so when I thought about like what it would look like for me to be an entrepreneur, I'm like, what do I know? And what do I know, and what will I be able to take from what I know and put it into the world in order to have ongoing success, right? And that's football. So if you look at every business that I've been a part of, or every business that I've structured out, it resembles a football team, right? And I say that to make this make sense, is that, every football team has a head coach, right? And that head coach has a message. He has a message and a vision for the way he wants that team to perform, right? But you don't hear from the head coach when it's time to give directions, right? There's usually an offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator, right? The offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator portray the vision of the head coach, right? And they hold accountable all of the assistant coaches to make that vision come into fruition, right? The head coach only hears about it when it's a problem, right? Because every layer of an organization, just like every layer of a business, has somebody holding you accountable, right? So the head coach doesn't have to go to the player and ask him where the breakdown was, because there's a person over him that should have held that player accountable, right? And so the way I apply that to businesses, I know exactly where the breakdown is, and I know exactly where to go when something doesn't look like my vision. And so I think that's just a model that I've used, and it worked because I know it.
Yeah, it's simple, but it's not. And you've found a way to leverage your experience as an athlete. And, you talk about people at 32, 33 years old. A lot of them, it's a kiss of death because they had one thing they did. Yeah. They mastered one thing. And then every day that goes by, their skill is diminishing.
1,000%.
And you've leveraged that. But maybe talk to us real quick as we start to turn the corner and finishing this up. What all have you been involved in? Because it's not just food trucks. And you would think that most people would kind of stop there and just buy more food trucks, but not this guy. What else have you been doing?
Oh man, I'd say my biggest day to day is I own a merchant processing company, a merchant service company, right? And I think that's just a testament to who I am. Credit card processing and consulting and business consulting through Journey Business Solutions. So Journey Business Solutions is the company. Me and one of my good buddies, we said that we're going to take it upon ourselves to help small and medium-sized businesses in the DFW area. And now we're everywhere. We're in Mississippi, we're in Arizona, we're in West Virginia, we're in California. But the vision was simple for that, right? There's a lot of businesses that they have no idea what to do in the back office. You became a cook because you like food and you can cook real well. You're not a payroll specialist. You're not a consultant. You're not a marketer. You're not any of those things that it really does take to run a business. And so those people just get the raw end of the stick at all turns, right? They never get good rates. They're always getting hit with inflation. They just have so many little intricate pieces that could make their business run better if they knew it.
But they're a specialist. They're not a business person.
Exactly.
So you're a man for the people, helping them out.
And so we take the business out of their hands and let them do what they do, right? When you cook, right? And so I think that's one of the things with the alarm clock.
You're fine.
I think that's one of the things that I'm very passionate about, and I've seen it's instant gratification. To see a business open their doors and have no clue and everything's out of order, and then consult them, lead them, guide them, see them turn more profits, see them have more time. The biggest thing I think we give business owners is time. Firsthand, when you own a business, that's a 24-hour ordeal, right?
It never slows down.
And then in order to have the ability to give them back time is probably the most valuable piece of our business. So,
well, what else though?
That's one thing.
Which I mean, it's just this is just who you are. You're a unicorn. What are the other things that you've been involved in?
Yeah, so I do restaurant groups, a bunch of restaurant groups that you'll see out here in the DFW area. You'll see Stir. in Deep Ellum. You'll see it in Addison. You'll see Fedora in Deep Ellum and Addison. You'll see Serious Pizza. You'll see Dirty Bones next to American Airlines Center. We just put that there. Consultant on all those groups, and obviously, part owner of those groups as well. I slid in the door of Carbone, Michelin star rated, that just came to Dallas, and that's great. There's a very strong group behind that, major food groups. They do that. I'm a part of CBD company called Zone In, driven and made by football players and by athletes, actually by my mentor, Lof Tutupu, that I talked about earlier in Seattle. We made a CBD product that's tailored toward athletes.
You found a way to tie it all together.
Absolutely.
Knowing football, knowing the structure, knowing how to lead people, how to be a grinder, no excuses, no complaints. And you've leveraged that where you've brought in your other passion of food and then
Absolutely.
your passion of helping people out through CBD.
Absolutely.
What's next? What's left to do as far as David, the brand?
Just keep growing. I'm so young right now, man. It's just like people are like, man, why don't you just sit down? You're pulled in a million different ways. And I'm like, never been in my spirit.
Same.
Right? Never been in my spirit. I've never had that content mentality.
Yeah.
I think the sky's the limit. I'm going to continue to do what I do. The biggest thing that I do and the best thing that I do is network, obviously, and reconnect with friends. And that's why I'm so happy, me and you stay friends throughout all these years, because our webs have spread.
Yeah.
We met each other in our 20s.
Yeah.
and look at us now.
Yeah. I've got gray hair. You have a gray hair.
Yeah.
Beard.
Man,
it looks good.
Before I drove down here, man, I was gonna dye it out and look all young, man. But I ran out of just for men.
Yeah, it's okay. It looks good. What about the best advice you could give somebody, whether it's an athlete or someone who maybe has something in them they want to go and try it out and just maximize every ounce of potential like you? What's the advice?
Never stop networking. I would say never stop networking. Networking, you never know when you're going to need somebody, when you can bridge with somebody or you can help somebody in the future. And I think, that's the biggest part of why we sit here today and we talk on this podcast. It's like our network is just so big and we've helped so many people and so many people have helped us that it'll never stop. It'll always keep repaying us for taking that little initiative to go out and meet people and just be a genuinely good person. That'll take you further than anything.
How do we support you? Obviously, then eating at those 85 restaurants he just listed off. What else do we do to support you? If I come
back in this office and you're 370 pounds, I would have known you went to each and every one of the restaurants that I just listed.
And then he creates some kind of workout company that he invests in as well.
We do have a fitness company called F45 Fitness right across the street from American Airlines Center.
And then if you accidentally tear your knee, he's going to give you some CBD.
Hey, I put you through the carousel.
You have every single thing.
I'll make you fat, get you skinny, hurt you, help you, health, and get you back to health. Got it all.
I like it. And how do we find you? I know you're kind of a private guy, but all these people watching, they're going to want to follow your journey online. Where do we find you?
Oh, man, I'm always on Facebook. I'm pretty interactive on Facebook, and it's David H. on
you gave
Facebook.
It away.
I gave it the secret recipe on that. But Journey Business Solutions, I think that's the way I'm helping the most people in DFW, small businesses.
Or Mississippi, California.
Or anywhere.
Anybody looking for credit card processing, Journey Business Solutions.
Yep, or business consulting, yep.
I'll tell you what. Well, David, you're a great friend, you're a great man, a great leader, a great husband, and what you've done is incredible, and I know this is going to inspire a lot of people. So thanks for joining us today and for all that you do.
Man, thanks for having me on, man.
You're welcome.
I'm David Hawthorne, and this is how you sell without selling out. Roger's that.